Welcome to Six Figure Souls, Doing Good and Making Money, the weekly podcast where I highlight entrepreneurs who have left the grind and designed a business in alignment with who they are. This is a very special season 9 where I'm interviewing my co-authors of the third collaborative book in my Ultimate Guide series, Leaving Your Legacy. I'm your host, Camille Miller, an internationally known business strategist and life accelerator, founder of the Natural Life Business Partnership and the Soul Professional brand. Today, I have with me Teresa Trigas-Pfefferle. She is a speaker, coach, and real estate maven. Welcome, Teresa, to the podcast. And thanks for being. Well, thank you so much. You were in my second book.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is your return into our third book, Leaving Your Legacy. First, I want to jump into just who you are, what you do, and then I'm going to ask you why you chose to be in the book. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do as a speaker, coach, and real estate maven.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have 23 years experience in real estate sales, right? I was a realtor and then a real estate broker and manager and investor, have a portfolio of investment properties. I renovate properties, flip them, all facets of real estate. And so hence the real estate maven. But being in that dynamic of being a broker, you become like a resident hand holder, right? You become the person that people come to when they need calm. And when you're in a real estate transaction with a seller or a buyer, you're the person that the people come to rely on when they need calm. And so that really just sort of like, things just sort of evolve, I basically coach my agents, and I've coached for other companies. I coached for Unblinded for a while and coached real estate agents for them. And I've coached people in the investing space. And that just sort of, been president of the board of realtors. You're up on stage, you're handing out everyone's award, you're talking to people, and one thing leads to another. And, you wake up, you do like actually, I'll say I did a breathwork class with JP. I don't even know, JP Criminy. I don't know. He's out of Boston. He does it virtually. Okay. And through the Tony Robbins community, and through the Lion Network. And he did this guided breath work. It was probably 27 minutes long, and I'm laying on my den floor, and he's like, all right, it's this, I forget what kind, I should know, right? But I forget what kind of breath work it is, but it's the kind of breath work where it shuts off certain parts of your brain.
Okay.
And, and so your hands and your arms kind of get tingly, and anyway, it was like visualizing your future. And it wasn't a conscious A plus B equals C thought process. It was just like, what do you see? And I see myself actually wearing a blue top, and it's ironic. I did not do that on purpose, but wearing a blue top, standing on stage in front of 10,000 people at a podium speaking.
Wow.
And so I know that's sort of like made me go, wait a minute. Speaker, oh my goodness. And then I realized, like all the pieces start to come together, and you realize, well, that's what I've been doing, that, right? Or there's a reason why they ask me to do these things when there's an event, or like there's a reason why the room is quiet when the microphone's handed to me. And so yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of a little bunny trail and how that all started. But yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, tell me, well, let me just read your chapter title to everyone. It says, Asking the Right Questions and Actually Listening for the Answers, which I love. Tell us a little bit about that chapter and why you chose it. I have not read it. I always like to
No,
tell
I'm
my
so
listeners.
disappointed because they
I
want your feedback, but
Well, I'll
okay.
give you my feedback, but I do it after the interview.
So, it's funny because that's not when I started writing the chapter in my mind's eye, I kinda had this, like, vision of a blizzard, and, y you know how, like, when you're in the middle of a blizzard and you're trying to find your way out, you can't really see.
Yeah, yeah. A whiteout.
Yeah, and that was sort of how it started to evolve, and then as soon as I started writing, things came out of the writing that I didn't even realize.
The way it works, right? So therapeutic too.
Yeah. Yes. And it's interesting because for me, what I recognized in writing the chapter was there were times, many times in my life that I knew the answer to something that I needed, and I just chose to ignore it.
Mm.
That I was so and maybe circumstantially, or maybe just, sometimes who we can find ourselves being, but um I just felt like I had to solve everything, I had to do everything. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That everything for me was a to-do list. And I did never stopped and listened to myself long enough to think about and be present. Really, it was the being present with
Yeah.
what I was hearing. I would just ignore it and just, I got it, I'll figure it out. Or I'll do it. You know, I'll take
Mhm.
care of it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. And so then you look back over a decade or 2 because what I didn't realize, and I'm sure many of us are the same, is you think, "Oh, I'm 25 years old. I'm only 30 years old." Well, now I'm 50 years old.
Much different decade.
Right.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go, "Oh my god, I was so cruel to myself."
Mm.
Like, if someone else had come to me,
Yep.
I would never have treated someone else the way I treated myself.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Beautiful lesson. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for giving yourself forgiveness. For you, in any moment, we do the best we can,
Yeah.
right? And I know I have a little thing, where is it? Um, that says, "Oh, I forgive myself for the choices I made in the past." It literally sits on my wall. It says, "I forgive myself for the choices I made in the past. I continue to grow and learn every day. I am creating a healthy magnetic flow for my money, and I am ready to move forward."
Mm.
And it just sits by my desk because I think that there's a big part of because I do this with my kids a lot because I'm in divorce, but now in my 50s with older kids, I can look back and go like, man, I was really crazy back then, right? Or something. But in that moment, I was doing the best I can because
Yes.
I was in
Yes.
survival mode, right?
Yes.
And it's like that's all I knew in that moment. And I can't hold myself accountable,
In
right?
in retrospect.
In retrospect, right, right, right.
Yeah.
But because I was doing the best I can. But now I also look at others sometimes and being like, okay, they're doing the best they can in the moment with all the tools that they know they have, right? Sometimes we don't go in deep or take the time. We just, let's get it done, let's get it done, let's get it done.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the never
Hamster
really.
wheel.
Yes, and
Yeah.
never really asking myself, "Wait a minute." Like, if my kids came to me, I'd be like, "Well, what do you feel? Who do you wanna be?" And it doesn't matter what the answer is, but
Yeah.
you know the answer because the truth is we already all have what we need inside of us.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And I just never knew that for so many years. I thought somebody else knows better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it's really just taking the time, leaving space for myself
Yeah.
and not being afraid to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. And it's also, well, with age comes maturity and wisdom and knowledge. But also self-confidence,
Yeah.
right? And I think self-confidence has a lot to do with success and where we are in the world, is believing in ourselves
Right.
and what we can do in the world. Because like you, I also thought everyone else is smarter, everyone else gets it, everyone else, I don't know, or I need to hire people around me because I can't do it on my own. Now, I think it is smart to hire, but sometimes I hired the wrong people,
Yes.
right? Because I thought I needed more wisdom or something. And the truth is that I think I wrote this in one of my books, that I learned the hard way that I had what it took,
Right.
right? I didn't have to pull other people with me.
Well,
I,
the truth is everybody has their own internal, like we've already been given it.
yeah.
So really like getting quiet enough to listen and ask the right questions and maybe journal to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this book title, Leaving Your Legacy, what made you jump in and say, yeah, I want to be a co-author in this one?
Well, legacy is part of, right, it's part of like in what's inside of me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as far as like, my little sticky notes. And our, our portfolio, passive income, so I think it says something along the lines of, you know, having a multi-million dollar passive income stream that allows me to be a contribution to the community I serve and leaves a legacy for my children for them to do the same.
Oh, I love that.
So, um, that's through real estate ownership.
Yeah.
And and so legacy's always sort of been important. Leadership's always been important. I always have seen myself, interestingly, like I never really thought I was a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Then I look around and I realize I'm leading, and it's because I nobody else is doing it, and you're like, well, somebody's got to do it. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then in interesting writing the chapter, having being much more present to the fact that my legacy for my children isn't necessarily about money, right? Legacy
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
how do I, when they think about me, how do they feel? And when they much rather, and I think this is having been in real estate for so long and having raised my children sometimes as a single parent in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're so focused on money because you're single, and real estate is so you know,
Yep. Up and down. Yeah.
and I realized that like my kids really just wanted me, you know,
That's a
they
big
didn't,
one.
they just wanted FaceTime with me, and and really being present to the fact that, okay, what is it when all's said and done and I'm not here anymore, and they walk through the halls of my home, you know what I mean? Like, what are
Mm.
the pictures on the wall that they have a memory of, or, you know, what is it that they are gonna want to remember? And it's the how mom made me feel in a moment like this, you
So
know.
true. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
transcends just I'm speaking of a parent-child relationship, but that does transcend that, you know.
To every single person you touch in the world,
Yes.
every home that you have ever sold to anybody,
Yes.
usually they remember the person who brought them the home, helped them
Yeah.
get that home.
Yeah, and I had this moment a couple years ago, and I wrote about it in the chapter, but I had this moment. I was down the Jersey Shore. My daughter was at a dance competition. We had to spend the weekend. We got up one morning early. It was like March. So it was kind of cool. Wasn't a lot of people out, but it was sunny. So her and her girlfriend went down the boardwalk to see if there was anything open, and I went barefoot and stood on the edge of the water. And I'm looking around, and there was something happened in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. I don't know exactly what it means, but I remember looking around and there's like 20-ish people in different clusters, and they were all basking in the sunlight. Sun is up, and we're all standing at the edge of the water, and I'm just feeling the waves crashing and the water's hitting my feet. And I kind of had this conversation with God where it was like this right here, this feeling, this like energy, this is what I want to be in the world.
Wow.
Right? It was not about things, it wasn't about who I was. It was just, this is how I want to make people feel. And I don't know how to bottle that. You know? Other than that, that's how when someone is panicking or they need someone, in the real estate management capacity, it's pretty easy to be that person for them because you know that they're freaking out and they just need someone to breathe for them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No real estate emergencies.
I know. Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to be, because I think your industry is also known for kind of very hyperactive um realtors along the way. So
Yeah.
having a calm mind, or someone says, "Hey, is that the best decision for you?" Or have you thought about this other thing, matters.
Right.
Especially in a real estate, or buying a home, especially your personal residence, is one of the biggest investments people make in their lives.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of emotions attached to it, a
Yes.
lot of emotions, and even letting go of a home that maybe they grew up, their families grew up in, or they're ready for this next phase. And there's a lot of memories attached. And sometimes there's emotion that comes with properties.
Yeah.
So you
And
have to be more than just the contract putter together.
you do. And what's so funny is what's interesting about that is some people really need that perspective. And then other people are they're so wound tight about something that
Hmm.
they are not able to connect the dots and recognize the value that that brings in the situation. You know what I mean? Like
Yes, I
there's
do.
this polar opposite like camps of, well, you spent some time in real estate, so
Yes.
you know, like there's some people that don't they're like, I don't like the fact that she didn't tell me what, it's not for me to tell you anything. It's for me to be here for you through the process and you to make the decisions. Like you're in charge.
Yeah,
Try to I'm just here to make it happen and make it happen with the least amount of stress possible.
yeah,
But some people are so I don't know.
yeah. Well,
They're
it's
they're
a
just
beautiful way
tone
to
deaf.
look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like coaching them through the transaction itself.
Yes, exactly.
And yeah, just kind of stay in your lane. I love that. I love that. So, um, everyone left a lesson with their chapter. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the lesson that you left for everybody? You don't have to tell us exactly what it was, but I know everyone's touched a
It's
little
about
bit on.
leaving space for yourself.
Hmm.
And if you don't do that, you're never going to listen. You're never going to be able to hear what you need to hear.
Yeah, so true.
And I thought for many years, like, oh, self care was I'm drinking enough water and I'm going to the gym. you know, like there's a physicality to
Yep.
that,
Yep.
but there's an emotional and spiritual side of self care that it allows you to be present with who you are and what your path is and the legacy that you want to leave. That if you're not taking the time and leaving space for that, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna
So great.
yeah. You're gonna
Yeah.
go by 25 years ago by and you're gonna be like, "Oh, wait a minute. That's really not who I am."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, just slowing down in life. and
Mhm.
being very present in the moment that you're in.
Yes.
Yeah. You talked a lot about, kids. I have 3 myself. And when they were young and I was kind of doing it all, um, my mind was like, get things done, even with them, just get it done, just get it done, just get it done, go to the next thing, go to the next thing. And it took a while for me to realize that sometimes they just wanted to sit next to me and watch a TV show.
Yeah.
Like that was enough for them. And it was like, okay, you can slow down and just be so present with them. So I learned to like turn off when they came home. I just, worked earlier and kind of turned off when they came home from school. Or now it's, now as they're older, you know, big kids, big problems. The problems are a little different, but it's still so nice to be able to sit and have adult conversations that
Right.
are needed. That, they always say a great time to have a conversation is in a car ride,
Yeah.
because you're present, you're kind of there, and you're just talking about what's on your mind. Yeah. Great, great stuff. I can't wait to read your chapter.
Well,
I already know it's going to be inspiring.
it's just funny that it's not what you think it's gonna be, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Wow,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah. Mine was like that. Actually, I do the first chapter and I do the last chapter. The last chapter, because we, so for our listeners, some of the process is you put in your chapter title before you write, because we feel like it helps you focus. And I forget what my last chapter was. I usually write about community because I run a community. So I usually write something about community.
Yeah.
And, I started like a paragraph and I was like, boy, this sucks. And I couldn't figure it out. And then like I just leave it, because if I'm not in the mood, I left it. And I came back and I wrote about something completely different. Changed the title, changed that, like just wrote and then put a title on it. And told our publisher, like, yeah, I didn't write that. I didn't write that at all. Because it's just wasn't coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I believe maybe it just wasn't supposed to. And that's okay.
Right,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
okay. Yeah. Whatever's supposed to be out there will be out there.
Yes.
Teresa, this has been awesome. And I so appreciate you being my co-author for the second time and you being a part of this podcast. And I
Thank you
can't
so much
wait to
for
read your
letting me
chapter.
participate for a second time.
Wait, what? Say that again?
Thank you so much for letting me participate for a second time.
Oh, thank you. So if people wanted to get in touch with you,
Mhm.
what is the best way to find you?
Well, being that I'm a licensed real estate broker, if you Googled me, literally, you could find me. Pop up all over the place. But I have a website who is TTP.com.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Awesome. And Teresa's bio and all of her information is in our show notes, but just in case you're driving, don't look at them now. You can always get in touch with us or Teresa through LinkedIn or just Googling her name or anything else in the world. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, Teresa.
Thanks so much, Camille.
All right. Thank you, our listeners, for joining me today. If you loved this interview, please share it with your friends and pick up our book in September of 2024. It'll be out on those shelves. I am so excited. You can also join others by checking out soulprofessional.com. A soul professional lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. If that's you, come check us out and learn more. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks again, Teresa.
You.